You've got questions, and we've got some answers for you. There's some common myths around working with realtors, working with mortgage brokers, and we want to try and break the walls down. I'm Jared Thomas at Moving to Merritt on all your social media channels.
I'm Jamie Yushko with Mortgage Architects.
And Jamie, let's just get started with the cost of
Mm.
working with a realtor as a buying and selling agent, but also the cost of working with a mortgage broker.
I always love telling people that as a buyer, you're in control. You can create your great team, and it's at no cost to you. There's no cost to working with a realtor. There's no cost to working with a mortgage broker. So it's best to assemble the best team that you can, because again, it doesn't cost you anything.
The best team that money doesn't need to buy.
Yeah.
And when you're working with a realtor on the buy side, of course, the commission payable is usually by the listing agent. There's some certain circumstances where you might be dealing with a for sale by owner.
Mhm.
And in some cases, they don't illicitly say that they're willing to cooperate with a buying agent. But a lot of times they are willing to because there's not too many realtors that are willing to take the plunge and take the risk, maybe take a little bit of a pay cut to work with a for sale by owner. But that's one of the only situations where you'll see sometimes the buyers have to step up to the plate a little bit if it's a property that they really want to pursue. And that's always the buyer's choice.
That's a good point. There are some instances where there is a fee incurred when you work with a broker, and that would be 100% disclosed up front at the very beginning of the process. And those instances are usually when you require private lending, you're doing something a little bit more unique, out of the box for sure. In those cases, with a lot of private lenders, they don't same as private sellers, right? They don't always offer payment to the broker or to the realtor. So in those instances, there could be a fee incurred, but again, it would be really upfront about whatever that cost might be.
And on the list side, we've seen it a lot in the news lately. Costs of working with a realtor. What are the commission splits? And that's always something that has been negotiable. There is usually, a standard out there in certain areas, and that varies from place to place. And so that might be something that comes out of the realtor's mouth. At the end of the day, though, the sellers are in the driver's seat. They can name their commissions. Oftentimes, though, you've got to think if you're interested in working with a realtor, interested in them doing the best possible job for you, sometimes the best interest is to make them feel appreciated, make them feel wanted, and know that they're going to be putting it all in for you with the terms of the video marketing. Some of these things, they all have a cost associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes that isn't reflected in any upfront cost to the seller. And this is all out of pocket from the realtor. And so there's a large investment behind the scenes that doesn't really get incurred by the clients. And so there's different things to think about when you're considering working with a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we talked about it on one of our other videos, Jamie, but one of the big things with working with a mortgage broker or a realtor, and maybe they like to work together, is that communication factor.
Oh yeah, definitely. I guess it comes down to what you get what you pay for sometimes too. So I mean, we pride ourselves in picking up the phone. I mean, it's simply said as that. We're available for you. So if you are working 9 to 5, we're available to take your calls in the evenings and set up Zoom calls and work on the weekends, obviously, lots of that. And as long as, my realtor partners are working, I'm working and available to them too. So a lot of real estate happens in the evening and on the weekend. So it's important to work with somebody that's willing to, work with that.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're working with those brick and mortar banks. They're 9 to 5. They clock out at 5. They're doing their day job. If you can't make the time to work within their schedule, you're oftentimes going to be a little out of luck. So it does, depending on your schedule, make a big difference on who you're working with. somebody that's going to be available for you. We want to say beck and call. It's not always quite to that extreme, but we're usually available to pick up the phone for you. We do have some lives, very small portion though, and are willing to, like you say, pick up the phone, make sure that you feel you're attended to, that your concerns are being met, because there's a lot of questions that come up during the process,
Hmm.
and it's not just um, always a black and white A, B, C, D. Sometimes you jump ahead, sometimes you jump back, sometimes a unique situation pops up, and that's when you really need somebody to tackle it for you right then and there
Hmm.
instead of waiting till Monday.
Yeah, absolutely.
One
So,
common question that mortgage brokers get a lot um, is that you can just blurt out a rate for somebody. Oh, I
hmm.
can get you this rate. Oh, I can get you that rate. And when these mortgage rate announcements are made, um, a lot of people think like, okay, well, that's what I'm going to get, but that's not the case.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we all have access to the internet and smartphones and things now. And once you start the home search, you're going to be getting lots of extra pop-ups and ads that are targeted towards you, and a lot of, rates and things like that you're going to see. Just keep in mind that the best rate or the lowest rate isn't always A, available, B, the best option for you. I mean, when you're promoting and advertising rates, you're definitely putting out the bottom line there. There could be like bona fide sales clauses, like really stringent details on the back end of those types of mortgage products. So on the surface, they might look really great and enticing, but that's why it's good to work with a broker, so we can show you that it's beyond what's your best rate.
And there's usually an asterisk involved on some of those rates that are posted, right? Oh, I can get you this, but you're going to have to fall into X, Y, and Z, or else it's not really going to work. And so everyone's situation is different. And that's why it's best to give a lender a call and find out what products are going to be available to you. Um, One thing that often gets overlooked, Jamie, in the whole process, sometimes it's the down payment,
Hmm.
other times it's the closing costs. And these are big lump sums that need to be put forward for those different kinds of mortgage products. Um, and sometimes they get forgotten about. Oh, I can I can pay this amount down,
Yeah.
but there's always that extra amount on the back end.
Yeah, people forget sometimes, there can be some pretty extensive costs when it comes to buying and selling. One of the main ones when you're buying a place is the land transfer tax in BC. So, I mean, when we're submitting to a lender, we need to show that you have at least 1.5% of the purchase price set aside for those closing costs, and that's in addition to your down payment funds. But the actual closing costs are probably going to be a lot higher than that 1.5%. So, it's important to talk through that with your broker, and find out exactly what those closing costs are going to be based on your property and location and things like that, so that when you go to the lawyer's office for signing and they have you bring in that check, you're not shocked at the amount that you're walking in with.
So one of the big myths out there, especially when people are referring different people, whether that be an inspector, whether that be a mortgage broker, whether that be, um, the water testing guy, the well, the septic, you name it, is that the realtor is getting some kind of kickback on the back end. First and foremost, if that were ever the case, it needs to be fully disclosed
Mm-hmm.
to the clients. And second of all, in many cases that just isn't true. Um, the reason why a realtor is making those recommendations is because they have built up a relationship, they built up some trust, and they really think that these might be some of the best decisions for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that you say that, because definitely there are opportunities for kickbacks in our industry, but and it does like depend on the people that you're working with, whether or not they're getting them or not. As you said, they should be disclosed fully. But when you're working with Jared and somebody like myself, our main concern is client satisfaction. So instead of potentially Jared working with somebody where they're going to get a $500 kickback for every referral or something. He works with me, who gives him no, literally a kickback. But it's because I take good care of your clients and vice versa. So we just trust that that relationship, the communication, and doing a really good job for our clients is our primary concern. It's not really the money aspect of it for us.
So if you have any other myths you'd like us to bust, let us know. Get at us on social media. I'm Jared Thomas at Moving to Merritt on all your social media channels.
And I'm Jamie Yushko with Mortgage Architects.